Welcome to Breaking Boundaries, brought to you by Women's Cricket Zone. I'm Snehal Pradhan, former India cricketer. With me is Karunya Keshav, co-author of the book The Fire Burns Blue, The History of Women's Cricket in India. And women's cricket in India, not in such a good place right now. India have crashed out of the semi-finals of the ICC World T20 2018 in a game that a lot of people expected them to win after being undefeated in the group stage, after coming in as the form team. India not making it through in slightly controversial circumstances, you might say.
Yes, of course. I guess the biggest talking point was the team deciding to leave Mithali out of the 11. So the party line was that they were sticking with the winning combination. But of course, the winning combination happened in a game when there was not much at stake. Um, I think there are two ways of looking at this. There is obviously um, a debate about what Mithali's place in this team is. So I understand that they want to play attacking cricket. They want to, go out with this whole fearless thing. And Mithali, with her slowish strike rate, may not fully fit into it. So, but I think in today's game, we saw how Meg Lanning batted. We saw how Alisa Healy said it was a difficult wicket to bat on. And yet, not having Mithali there, I think really told.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because the team has done well when Mithali has not really participated in the game against New Zealand. She wasn't used as an opener. India put up 190 in the game against Australia. She didn't play, supposedly unwell. India put up a really good score. So India basically feel like they found a winning formula that they can apply without Mithali Raj, and they're going very much specifically with roles that Veda Krishnamurthy is playing the finisher for them, and Mithali Raj is almost typecast as the opener or the stabilizer, and that's one of the reasons that came across that Mithali wasn't used. I thought there was a case to use Mithali in place of Veda because Veda is having a terrible tournament. You could have had the experience there. You could still have the five spinners playing Anuja Patil. That would have given you a decent balance. But they're very specific, very gung ho about these roles, about how Veda is seen as the finisher. Mithali is not seen as that. And I think in hindsight, it certainly seems to have been an opportunity missed or a trick missed. Who knows what Mithali would have done in that kind of a situation, but it was the kind of situation where you need experience. It was the kind of wicket where you need experience, slightly gripping, turning pitch, and the rest of the bottom order after Harmanpreet Kaur was dismissed kind of struggled, and that we've seen in the tournament before.
Yeah, I think this is something we've spoken of again and again, how India have put up the big scores, but it's still been one or two batters coming in. The younger lot, they've gotten the 15, 20 runs, but quite often when the big guns don't fire, that's not enough. And that's again what we saw today.
Yeah, it's again that experience versus gaining experience versus people who already have that experience. When you have Mithali Raj in the team who already has experience, but at the same time, unless you give the others opportunities, you put them in those pressure situations, they're not going to stand up. And I think in that respect, Veda Krishnamurthy has been a big disappointment in the tournament. She has the experience, she's been around the team for a long time, a batting leader, but not really playing the role that the team needs her to play for 4 innings in a row is slightly disappointing.
I think also disappointing is how they weren't able to adapt. It seems like the decision to leave Mithali out was done a little earlier in the day. Obviously, we don't know, but it just that's a sense that we get. And also, in terms of the fielding and the bowling plans, we know how England had planned to play the spinners. They had planned for to play the shorter spinners. They sort of thought about the lengths that they were going to bowl, and as England said, they got pretty much what they expected. So there was no surprise element in the Indian attack today, and I think that they paid for that.
Yeah, India had a plan A that had worked so well in the tournament, but when it came to a plan B, there wasn't a plan B in place. And even if there was, the switch to that plan B came very late, came when England was just 30 odd runs away. So I think the fields that Harmanpreet Kaur employed were questionable when you have a low score when you need to go for wickets. She's using tactics which have been defensive, which have been used in the defense of high scores. But the other semi-final, of course, also not playing out to the script that the local fans wanted. The West Indies losing to Australia. Again, Alisa Healy, welcome back. Another player of the match tournament, 4 batting innings, 4 player of the match. I think this is the one she's going to value the most because of the way the wicket was and because of how she adapted.
Indeed, she did adapt and she spoke about how it required a grind. Meg Lanning also did that. So it was good to see the Australians quickly understand what the pitch was, understand what was required, and adapt quickly. The West Indies didn't do that.
Yeah.
Again, their top order has been shaky, and they paid for that. But also in terms of the bowling, they stuck to pace when maybe spin would have worked. Anisa Mohammed was again on the bench. Maybe again comes to the issue of experience. Maybe her experience would have helped.
I think both teams, both West Indies and India, misreading the conditions a bit. The West Indies thought it would be seamer friendly, and they left out Anisa Mohammed. It turned out to be a turning track, and India, not expecting the dew that came in late in the evening, that really took the bite off the spinners that came in later. So finally, we have our finalists. It's England versus Australia. Once again, the Ashes rivals are going to go up against each other. We will be bringing you a preview of that final tomorrow, and we'll see you on Breaking Boundaries on a day it hasn't been great for India, but I think we're building up to a pretty decent final.